People will never tell you this, but some of them want you to fail, not loudly, not openly, but quietly inside their heads. They'll smile when you speak, they'll clap when you win, but deep inside they're whispering, "Please don't go too far." Why? Because your success threatens their comfort. It reminds them of everything they could have been, but never tried to become. In psychology, this isn't pure hatred. It's called malicious envy, a complex mix of admiration and resentment. They don't necessarily want to destroy you. They just want to feel equal again. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your courage highlights their fear. Your progress makes their excuses louder. And the worst part, they might not even realize they're doing it. The mind defends the ego in subtle ways, turning admiration into jealousy and jealousy into quiet sabotage. They might minimize your wins. You just got lucky. They might plant doubt. Are you sure this will work? Or they might disappear when you need support most. That's how dark psychology hides in everyday life. Not through manipulation or violence, but through silence, withdrawal, and carefully crafted indifference. Understand this truth. When people can't control your progress, they'll try to control the narrative about your progress. They'll rewrite your story to make it smaller, because they can't handle how big you're becoming. But listen carefully, their envy isn't really about you. It's about them. It's about the reflection they see when they look at you and realize they've stopped moving. You are a mirror they can't stand to face, because when you shine too bright, it shows them their own shadows. So what do? You don't shrink. You don't dim your light to make them comfortable. You keep growing, and let your existence be their invitation to rise. Because no matter how much someone secretly wants you to fail, your success doesn't expose them. It simply reveals them. Not every smile hides good intentions. Some people call you friend, but secretly they're measuring you. They don't want to help you grow. They want to make sure you never grow past them. It's subtle. They'll cheer for you, but only when you're beneath them. They'll give advice, but only the kind that keeps you safe, not successful. They'll say, "I'm so proud of you." But their eyes say, "Don't surpass me." This is competitive insecurity. A quiet psychological battle where one person feels safer only when they're doing slightly better than you. You'll notice it in how they react to your progress. You share good news, they change the topic. You hit a milestone, they suddenly talk about their own. You mention a goal, they say, "Are you sure that's realistic?" It's not hate. It's fear disguised as support. Fear that your growth might expose their limitations. And the worst part? They might not even be fully aware they're doing it, because the human brain loves status. It craves being relevant, being seen, being above. When that balance shifts, when you rise, their ego feels like it's sinking. But remember this, real friends don't compete with your success. They contribute to it. They clap even when it hurts their pride, because your win doesn't threaten them. It inspires them. So start paying attention to patterns, not words. If someone only shows up when you're struggling, but disappears when you're thriving, you've already seen their truth. Because some friendships aren't built on loyalty, they're built on comparison. And the moment you stop being the underdog, you stop being useful to them. They'll never tell you they want you to fail. They'll show it quietly. This is what psychologists call passive sabotage. The kind of behavior that hides behind politeness, smiles in your face, and cuts the foundation of your growth when you're not looking. It's not the loud enemy that hurts you most. It's the silent one pretending to help. They'll forget to tell you something important. They'll delay their part of a project just enough to make you look bad. They'll compliment you with a hidden blade. "Oh, I didn't know you could actually pull that off." They'll give advice that sounds smart but subtly limits you. "Don't aim too high, I just don't want you to get disappointed." And it works because they frame it as care. This kind of sabotage doesn't break you in a single blow. It wears you down slowly until you start doubting your own momentum. See, in dark psychology, this is rooted in ego preservation. When someone can't rise to your level, they pull you down to theirs. It's not about destroying you. It's about restoring balance in their mind. And the cruelest part, they often believe they're helping. They rationalize their envy as concern, their manipulation as honesty, their distance as space, but underneath all that is the fear of being outshined. So how do you protect yourself? Not by confrontation, that feeds them. Instead, you observe and detach. You stop explaining your dreams to small minds. You stop expecting understanding from those who secretly fear your evolution, and you learn the art of quiet distance. Let them underestimate you. Let them talk behind closed doors, because by the time they realize your silence was power, you'll already be too far ahead to hear their whispers. Sometimes your success doesn't inspire people, it triggers them. Because when you rise, you become a mirror they can't look away from. Every achievement of yours reflects what they didn't do. Every step forward reminds them how long they've been standing still, and instead of facing that truth, they turn that discomfort against you. This is called the mirror effect in dark psychology, when someone projects their insecurities onto you to avoid the pain of self-awareness. They'll say things like, "You've changed. You're too focused on yourself lately. You've become arrogant." But what they really mean is, "You've grown beyond the version of me I was comfortable with." See, success doesn't always destroy relationships. It just reveals the true foundation of them. Because real friends feel proud when you rise, and fake ones feel exposed. When you evolve, you unconsciously force others to make a choice, grow with you, or resent you. And most people choose resentment because growth requires effort and jealousy is effortless. The truth is, you're not the problem. Your presence just became a spotlight on everything they refuse to work on. So don't shrink to make them feel comfortable. Don't dim your energy to protect their ego. Because the people meant to walk with you won't be blinded by your light. They'll match it. And the ones who can't handle it, let them stay in the shadows they've chosen. You're not responsible for anyone else's reflection. You're responsible for becoming your truest, brightest self, even if your light exposes the darkness in others. Have you noticed how some people are incredibly kind when you're broken, but quietly disappear when you start to rebuild? They love the version of you that needed saving, but not the one that started saving yourself. It's because when you're struggling, you make them feel useful. You validate their sense of superiority, the subtle belief that they're the strong one. And you're the one who needs help. But the moment you start to heal, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, they can't play the hero anymore, they can't fix you, and your growth feels like their loss of control. Psychologically, this is tied to something called the helper's ego, a pattern where people attach their self-worth to being needed by others. When you no longer need them, they feel invisible. So what do? They pull away. They start saying, "You've changed," or act distant without explanation. Not because they hate you, but because your healing disrupted their comfort zone. It's easier for them to support your pain than your power, because your pain kept them relevant, but your peace? It reminds them how much work they've avoided doing on themselves. Here's the brutal truth. Not everyone clapping for you in the dark will celebrate you in the light. Some people were only ever meant to walk with you through your suffering, not your success, and that's okay. Their role in your story wasn't to stay. It was to show you the difference between empathy and dependency. So when you rise and the crowd gets quieter, don't mistake that silence for loneliness. It's just the sound of you stepping into a level where only real ones can breathe. Keep rising. You owe your peace no explanation. It's a strange, almost twisted thing, how people can admire you and envy you at the same time. They'll compliment your success, but deep inside there's a quiet resentment brewing. Not because they hate you, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. This is what psychologists call ambivalent admiration. It's when someone looks up to you, yet simultaneously feels threatened by the very qualities they admire. Think about it. When you succeed, you hold up a mirror. That mirror doesn't just reflect your light. It reflects their shadows, their unfulfilled goals, their missed chances, their excuses that now feel weaker than ever. So instead of being inspired, they start creating emotional distance. They might say things like, "You're so lucky," or you've changed, as if to soften your achievements, so they can feel comfortable again. The irony? Most people who envy you actually want the same life. They just don't want to make the same sacrifices. Underneath that jealousy lies pain, a quiet ache that whispers, "Why not me?" And here's the key insight. Jealousy isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's the only language people have to express their frustration with themselves. So when you sense that shift, the fake smile, the cold tone, the subtle dig, don't take it personally. You're not the problem, you're just the reminder of what's possible. When someone stops waiting for permission to evolve, you see, your success will always do two things: expose insecurity and attract authenticity. Those who truly admire you will use your progress as proof that they can rise too. The others, they'll stay behind, trapped in comparison, confusing your light for their shadow. So keep shining, not to prove them wrong, but to remind them that jealousy doesn't have to end in bitterness. It can be the beginning of awakening. One of the most unsettling truths in dark psychology is this: not all competition comes from your enemies. Sometimes it comes from the people sitting closest to you, and the most dangerous kind, the silent kind, the kind no one talks about, the kind that hides behind smiles and "I'm happy for you" messages. See, real friendship is supportive, but insecure friendship is comparative, and comparison is the birthplace of quiet rivalry. This happens when someone measures their self-worth by constantly checking where they stand next to you. When you make progress, they feel behind. When you achieve something, they feel smaller, not because you did anything wrong, but because your growth challenges the identity they've built for themselves. Psychologists call this identity threat. It's when your success shakes someone's sense of who they believe they are. So what do? They start competing silently. They downplay your achievements with "it's not a big deal." They suddenly talk more about their goals when you share yours. They become distant right after something good happens in your life. They stop cheering for you when the spotlight turns your way. This isn't hatred, it's insecurity, dressed as indifference. Silent competitors never attack you directly. That would expose their jealousy. Instead, they keep you just close enough to watch you, but far enough to feel superior in their own imagination. Here's the part that hurts the most. Some people don't want you to fail, but they don't want you to win before them. They want a version of you that grows, but never grows faster than they do, and the moment you rise higher, they start treating you differently. Not because you changed, but because you didn't stay at the level they were comfortable with. So how do you deal with this? By recognizing that not every friendship is built for every chapter. Some friendships survive your pain, but collapse under your progress. Real friends don't compete. They celebrate. They uplift. They clap even when no one else is clapping. And the silent competitors, let them watch. Because your growth will either inspire them to level up or expose the truth they've been avoiding. Either way, you win. Have you ever noticed how the moment you talk about something big you want to build, someone quickly tells you, "Be realistic, that's too much," or "I don't think that's for people like us"? It sounds like concern, but it's actually projection. People downplay your dreams not because your dreams are impossible, but because their mindset is limited. They measure your potential using the scale of their own fears. Psychologists call this self-limiting projection, where people assume your boundaries must be the same as theirs. Your dream exposes their lack of ambition. Your goals make them uncomfortable with their own inaction. Your vision highlights how deeply they've settled into routine. And instead of admitting, "I'm scared to try," they say, "You shouldn't try either." They dress fear as wisdom, doubt as advice, limitations as realism. Here's the darker side. Some people downplay your dreams because they're afraid you'll become the person they always wish they could be. Your success threatens the version of them that never took risks. Your courage spotlights their excuses. So they try to shrink your vision until it fits comfortably inside their worldview. But remember this: small minds cannot comprehend big destinies. If someone has never stepped outside their comfort zone, they will convince you to stay inside yours. You'll hear things like, Are you sure? People like us don't achieve that. What if it doesn't work out? But what they're really saying is, I'm terrified to fail, so I want you to avoid any path that reminds me of my fear. The truth is simple. People protect their insecurities by attacking your possibilities. People guard their comfort by fighting your potential. That's why you must be very selective about who you share your dreams with. Some people respond with doubt. Some respond with envy. But the right people, they respond with vision. They respond with belief. They look at your dream and say, go bigger. Your dreams don't need approval. They need commitment and the courage to believe in the unseen. So the next time someone downplays what you know you're capable of, just smile, because they aren't seeing your dream. They're seeing their limits. And those limits have nothing to do with you. There's a reason some people become distant, uncomfortable, or strangely cold. When you begin to improve your life, they're afraid, not of you, but of what you're becoming without them. When you grow emotionally, financially, mentally, or spiritually, you're no longer the version of yourself they were used to, the version that made them feel equal, or for some, superior. Psychologists call this the fear of relational displacement. It's the fear that as you rise, you'll eventually leave them behind. And instead of working on themselves, they attempt to pull you back down so things feel balanced again. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people don't want you to grow, not because they don't believe in growth, but because your growth makes their life feel small. When you learn to communicate better, your maturity exposes their emotional immaturity. When you set boundaries, your self-respect threatens their ability to use you. When you become disciplined, your consistency highlights their lack of effort. And when you find peace, your calmness reveals their chaos. So what do? They react. They say you're acting different. They distance themselves, but blame you. They minimize your progress. They get irritated when you talk about goals. They start treating you like a threat rather than a friend. It's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because they feel the gap widening and they don't know how to bridge it. Some relationships were built on your brokenness, on the version of you that doubted yourself, that second-guessed your worth, that accepted less than they deserved. When that version starts to disappear, so does the comfort they had with your identity. But here's the truth you need to hear. You are not responsible for making people comfortable with your growth. If someone feels threatened by you evolving, they were never aligned with your future, only your past. Growth comes with loss, not because you're losing people, but because you're losing the version of you that tolerated people who were never meant to stay. Let them fear your evolution. Let them fear the gap. Let them fear what happens when you finally choose yourself. Because you're not outgrowing them to be superior, you're outgrowing them to become the person you were always meant to be. This one hurts because it exposes a truth nobody wants to admit. Some people are only nice to you as long as you don't surpass them. They smile, they check on you, they encourage you. But the moment you start climbing higher, you notice a shift, a distance, a tightening in their tone, a silence where there used to be support. It's not random. It's psychology. See, many people build their identity around being the stable one, the successful one, or the talented one in their friend group or family. Your progress threatens that identity. It challenges the hierarchy they've built in their mind. Psychologists call this status insecurity. It's when someone feels emotionally threatened because another person's growth disrupts their sense of superiority. So they act nice on the surface, but quietly hope things don't work out for you. Not because you don't deserve success, but because your success would force them to confront their own failure to evolve. They'll say, "Be careful, don't get your hopes up." Or, "Do you really think that's realistic?" It sounds like concern, but underneath it, a fear that you might become someone they can no longer compare themselves to. Nice, on-the-surface people tend to behave in subtle, calculated ways. They give you advice that leads nowhere. They act supportive but never show up when you actually need help. They listen to your goals but highlight risks instead of possibilities. They praise you only after everyone else does, never first. They keep you close so they can monitor your progress. Their niceness is a mask, protecting their ego from being exposed. And here's the hard part. You often don't realize who these people are until you start winning. Success doesn't change you, it reveals them. But listen carefully. You were not put on this earth to make others comfortable in their stagnation. You were not born to shrink yourself so they can feel tall. You don't owe anyone the version of you that makes them feel secure. If your success creates distance, let it. Because the people who truly care about you don't flinch when you rise. They rise with you. So keep moving, keep evolving, and let the world sort itself around your growth. Most overthinking doesn't start from the situation. It starts from the sentence you tell yourself about the situation. Your mind speaks in two voices. One voice magnifies problems, creates imaginary outcomes, and keeps pulling you back into fear. The other voice is calmer, logical, and solution-focused, but most people never train themselves to listen to it. To redesign your self-talk, you must first observe it. Whenever you feel your mind spiraling, pause and ask, what exact sentence am I repeating to myself right now? You'll notice it's usually something extreme, like, I always mess things up. Something bad will definitely happen. I'm not good enough. Now here's the psychological trick. Don't argue with the thought, question it. Because the human brain can't hold a belief with the same intensity once you force it to answer a question. Ask, is this thought a fact or just fear? What evidence do I have for this? What is more likely to happen realistically? What would I say to a friend who felt this way? This immediately shifts your brain from threat mode to analysis mode, calming the emotional noise. Then replace the original sentence with something balanced, not fake positive. Something like, I've handled situations like this before. I don't need the full solution right now, just the next step. It's uncomfortable, not dangerous. This small change in inner dialogue rewires your emotional response over time. You're not stopping thoughts, you're directing them. And the moment your self-talk becomes calmer, your decisions become clearer. This is how you take control back. Not by silencing the mind, but by teaching it a better way to speak. What if this goes wrong? What if they think something else? What if I fail? What if it all ends badly? Overthinkers live in the future, not the real future, but an imaginary one built entirely from fear. And the problem with what-ifs is that they don't stop on their own. They multiply. One what-if becomes 5 more. And soon your brain is living in a loop where every scenario ends in danger. Here's the truth. What-if is not a prediction. It's a symptom. A symptom that your brain feels uncertain and is trying to prepare for every possible outcome, even the unrealistic ones. To break this loop, you need a psychological interruption. The moment you catch a what-if forming, ask yourself, okay, and then what? Your brain will give you another scenario. Ask again. And then what? After 3 or 4 rounds, the thought reaches a point where your brain has no dramatic answer left, and the fear collapses. You expose the ending your mind was running from, and it becomes less threatening. Next, shift the question entirely. From, what if something goes wrong? To, what if I handle it? Because this is the part your brain never considers. It imagines disaster, but it never imagines your strength. Then bring yourself back to the present by grounding your mind with this one line. Right now, nothing bad is happening. It snaps your thoughts out of the future and back into reality, where things are far more manageable than your imagination. Breaking the what-if loop isn't about forcing positivity. It's about refusing to let fear create fictional futures. Once you stop feeding those imaginary outcomes, your mind finally gets the space to breathe. One of the biggest engines behind overthinking is perfectionism. Not the healthy kind that pushes you to do better, but the silent, suffocating version that whispers, anything less than perfect is a failure. Overthinkers don't struggle because they're careless. They struggle because they care too much. Every decision feels like a test. Every action feels like a performance. And every mistake feels like proof that something is wrong with them. This pressure creates a mental environment where nothing ever feels good enough. You replay conversations because you want the perfect version. You delay decisions because you want the perfect outcome. You rehearse scenarios because you want the perfect response. But here's the truth professionals will tell you. Perfectionism is not a standard, it's a trap. An emotional trap built on 3 distorted beliefs. If I get everything right, people will accept me. If I don't make mistakes, nothing bad will happen. If I produce perfection, I'll finally feel worthy. All of these beliefs sound logical but collapse the moment they are inspected. People won't love you more because your decisions are flawless. Life won't magically stabilize because you avoided errors. And your self-worth cannot come from performance, because performance will always change. Here's the psychological shift that breaks the cycle. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for clarity. Clarity doesn't ask, "Is this perfect?" It asks, "Is this right for me right now with what I know?" Clarity is realistic. Clarity is compassionate. Clarity gives you permission to move forward without punishing yourself. Start with small actions. Send the message even if it isn't worded perfectly. Start the project even if you don't feel totally ready. Make the choice even if you're not 100% sure, because progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from motion. Have you ever noticed that sometimes your overthinking doesn't even start from your mind, but from someone else's? Psychologists call this emotional contagion, the quiet, invisible process where you pick up the fears, insecurities, and anxieties of the people around you without realizing it. If you spend time with people who are constantly worried, suspicious, or negative, your mind slowly starts to mirror their emotional state. You begin to question yourself in situations that never bothered you before. You start overanalyzing decisions that used to feel simple. You start doubting areas of your life that were once stable. Why? Because humans are wired to absorb emotional signals, especially from people we care about. Here's what emotional contagion sounds like in real life. Someone close to you fears being judged, and suddenly you overthink your appearance. Someone constantly expects rejection, and you start overthinking your relationships. Someone carries insecurity about success, and you begin doubting your own progress. Slowly, their internal world becomes your internal world. But here's the key insight. Someone else's anxiety does not belong in your body. Their fears are not predictions. Their doubts are not facts. Their insecurities are not your responsibility. The moment you understand this, your thinking becomes clearer. The way out is simple but powerful. Identify the source. Ask yourself, is this my fear or someone else's? Emotionally disconnect without abandoning anyone. You can support people without absorbing their mental chaos. Reclaim your internal voice. Remind yourself, I choose what I believe, not what I inherit. When you stop carrying emotions that never belong to you, your mind becomes lighter, your decisions become cleaner, and your overthinking begins to fade, not because life gets easier, but because you finally learn to think with your own mind, not someone else's. Sometimes people want you to fail for a simple reason. Your existence reminds them of what they're not doing. You don't have to brag. You don't have to show off. Just your progress, even the smallest step, can trigger a quiet, internal competition in their mind. It sounds like this. You improve yourself, and they feel left behind. You become consistent, and it exposes their laziness. You grow, and they realize they're stuck. They don't hate you. They hate the mirror you accidentally become. Here's the psychological truth most people don't realize. Envy is not about wanting what you have. It's about feeling threatened by the fact that you're getting it. Even people who say they care about you can fall into this trap, because watching someone else rise forces them to face their own excuses. So they compete quietly, they compare every move you make. They downplay your progress. They suddenly get distant when you're doing well. They act supportive, but their energy feels heavy. This silent competition isn't always intentional. It's often rooted in deep insecurity, the fear that if you win, their value decreases. But here's what a psychologist will tell you. Healthy people are inspired by your growth. Unhealthy people are threatened by it. Your only job is to recognize the difference. Because the moment you understand that their reactions are about their insecurities, not your worth, you stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for improving. You stop dimming your light for people who never planned to shine anyway. And when you stop competing with people who are secretly competing with you, you finally start becoming the person you were meant to be, unbothered, focused, and completely out of their reach.